John.
Okay, well, welcome back to the second part of our meeting this afternoon. This is a special city council meeting. Today is June 8th, Monday, June 8th, 2020. It's approximately 4:07 p.m. We have really just one item on the agenda, but before we get to that, I need to ask the conflict of interest statement. This is where I ask if any member of the city staff, city manager's office, or city council has any known conflict of interest on any item on the agenda.
None.
Seeing none. Item number 2.1 is resolution number 20-167. Need a motion and a second, please.
Move to approve.
Sandra.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Vasquez, second by Mayor Pro Tem Gondara. And I'm sorry, who's going to be Barbara De Leon? Are you going to be presenting? Okay. Interim Assistant City Manager Barbara De Leon.
Yes, Mayor. Good afternoon, Barbara De Leon for the record, and I'm just going to share my screen with you. All right, good afternoon. Today I come to you with a resolution on face coverings for your consideration. As we have been discussing face coverings, we have CDC guidance for the use of face coverings. In addition to maintaining social distance and washing hands and disinfecting surfaces, it's a method for reducing the spread of COVID-19. The resolution before you today encourages the use of face coverings of the public in any retail or commercial business in accordance with guidance from the New Mexico public health orders that we've received from the state, and also with the guidance from the Centers for Disease Control. The resolution defines retail and commercial businesses as entities that provide goods or services to the public, and we provided some examples of those types of businesses. And because the resolution supports the governor's public health orders, just an overview of what is required by the public health orders, that individuals in public settings and employees in the workplace wear face coverings, with some exceptions for eating, drinking, exercising, and health issues. And in addition, the CDC guidance is that the public should wear face coverings in settings where other social distance measures are difficult to maintain. They specify that the face coverings are non-medical grade for general use, and there are exceptions for children under the age of 2 and for those with breathing issues or who may be incapacitated or have difficulties removing the masks for themselves. And so with that, I present to you the options you have today for the vote on this resolution for face coverings.
Thanks, Barbara. Does anyone have any questions? Mayor Pro Tem Gondara.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I wanted to ask if you and or Christine had any public comment as it relates to the face coverings resolution, and two, if we had resolved the issues moving forward. I know through Zoom we had talked about, and I felt like early on when we worked towards having these meetings at Zoom, that felt like the majority of counselors wanted to have people come to the meetings, our citizenry, right, participate in these meetings via Zoom. And I know there were, Christine and others put forth a PowerPoint presentation with the research that had been done, particularly down south with the allowance of people as part of the meeting. And so again, I know that we have continued to get feedback about the face coverings, and And I want to be sure that we're hearing the public. But also my second question is, do the emails that are sent to you and Christine get incorporated into the record some way, like a copy of it? I'm not sure. And those are thus far my questions.
So, Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for those questions. The comments that I've received, the ones that were dropped off to me earlier today, were all pertaining to the ordinance number 2929, which is not what we're discussing here today. As far as the emails are concerned, I probably received 50 of them when this was a topic, and there's just no way I'm going to read 50 emails. It would take 2 hours to do that. So I guess my question would be, now one thing that I have done, and I wouldn't mind doing this, if they can send me an email that I can read in a minute, there's going to be 50 people. If this was to be held at City Hall and I had 50 people out there, I'd probably allow 1 minute for a discussion. So if they can give me a 1 minute email, I don't have a problem doing that. But some of these emails are 2 pages, and I try to read fast, but I don't think I can read them that fast. And so I think if it were, in light of that, right or wrong, I chose to at least put how many were in support of one position over the other. But then, as I did last meeting, where I read that email that was, I don't know if it was a minute. I asked them to keep it to a minute, and that's fine. But I don't have a problem with that. But if we could just put maybe a paragraph or so, tell us how you're feeling, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. But 2 pages, and a lot of them were a lot like that. So, but what was dropped off to me today, they were all, for the most part, no, and they were all regarding ordinance number 2929, which is not what we're discussing here.
So, Mayor, my question to Christine is: does that get incorporated some way in the record? How do we via Zoom, and with what we have all agreed and your agreement to, and I think you're within the charter, right? You don't have to read all of them, but I want to know how we're incorporating public comment to each one of these resolutions, because I know this is unprecedented times, but I want to be sure that we're being respectful of the public and what their concerns are, positive or negative, whatever that looks like.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonda, Christine Rivera, Acting City Clerk for the record. As I receive the emails, I print out a copy for the mayor and a copy for myself, which I do store in the record for that meeting. I then, any of the ones that the mayor reads, I type out verbatim so that they are in the minutes. And so that's how I keep track of them.
Thanks, Christine.
So thank you, Christine. So the ones that he doesn't read, it goes in the record, like a copy of it, and then people would see that as they're cruising through, or IPRA, whatever, it'll be as a part of the record. So when we go and we look and ask for a written document, that's there.
Mayor Pro Tem, what I'm doing is keeping them as part of the administrative record, so that if they ever do get asked for, all I have to do is pull the folder and I'll have them all.
Okay. And do you have any other updates in terms of our feedback as it relates to public participation via Zoom? I know there was still going to be some research and I hadn't heard anything back.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd have to defer that to the city manager. I believe he was looking into that. So I'd need to defer to him on that.
And is that David Dallahan?
Sorry, Madam, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem. I was trying to address another email. Could you restate your question? I'm sorry.
Yes, early on, we had this dialogue, really robust dialogue about meeting via Zoom and how public participation, right, was going to be, how we were going to garner that. And so I know Christine had given several, researched a bunch of different municipalities, and one of them down south, and I don't recall if it was Sunland Park, I believe it was Sunland Park, had Zoom where the capability of allowing so many people to participate in the meeting and be able to have a dialogue with us via public comment for each of the agenda items. So I thought that a lot of us agreed that we wanted to head into that direction, but additional information needed to be garnered. Do we have any feedback on that? Oh,
I
you're
think
muted.
I think you're muted, David. We still can't hear you.
Can hear you.
Hmm.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So those headphones are good for some things and not good for others. I don't have any specific information related to that. Adrian may have done some additional research, but our biggest concern with Zoom has been people bombing the meeting and taking over and showing inappropriate things or making inappropriate comments, despite the mayor's efforts to control the dialogue. Mr. Maestas didn't say anything to me specifically about allowing additional people to participate. I know when we adopted the resolution in light of Zoom, in light of COVID to allow this, that was the agreed practice, that the comments would be submitted to the mayor and the city clerk, and Christina outlined how that happens and gets into the record or into the file. If you want to, I'll follow with Mr. Maestas, but I don't know if Adrian Guzman has anything else. We could look at adding more people. I think our biggest issue is knowing who's coming into the meeting and who's requested to participate. That the more people we add, the harder that is to control. So, Adrian?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. I did some research, followed up some more research on that, and I did meet with Councilor Bencomo and also City Manager Maestas on some of those options. There's a few options we could do. They did pose some more limitations. If we were, because I talked with Sunland Park and what they did, and they just went ahead and let all their public participations into the meeting. When talking to them, they were concerned, but they weren't as concerned because they didn't get very many. They knew for a size of us, it might be an additional issue. But basically what we'd need to do is something like that is we'd need to have the ability to mute everybody and then not allow people to unmute themselves. So it'd be pretty much like up to the mayor to mute even counselors and mute everybody. So that raised a few different concerns there just because. And then there was another option where other people just call in and they could call in and just be muted and then once go down a list. So there's a few options we went through to see what would work. The city manager and Councilor Bencomo agreed to stick with this format for now, but we do definitely have some ideas or methods we can use if we need to bring in the public to a Zoom meeting.
Okay, thank you, Adrian and Christine, for that research. I'd hope that the information had been, once the research had been done and hearing back from one of the counselors would have been helpful as we move forward. And I'm getting quite a bit of folks wanting to have, the same kind of public participation and some threats about going to the Attorney General and whatnot. I know I've talked to Attorney Vega Brown And she feels that mayor is definitely within his right via the charter to not, he's not obligated to read every single one. And so I just wanted to see in terms of as we move forward, and I don't see things changing very, very drastically, that maybe we really need to look at changing how we view public participation via Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mayor Pro Tem, I was thinking maybe we could start really small, allow 10 people onto Zoom and just see how it goes. And then maybe if we need to expand it a little bit more, but I think starting out with 10 would be fine. But let me just read to you what the Attorney General states in their booklet when it talks about as far as public participation. It says such restrictions are permitted. The act only requires that persons be permitted to attend and listen. And so it's my understanding, Adrian, that they have access to this meeting, both visually and they can hear it as well. If they don't have it, if they don't have access to either TV, they could view it. It says an open public meeting is not necessarily an open forum, and as long as the act is complied with, which we do, public bodies may limit or not allow public debate and may take steps necessary to maintain public order. So I remember when I first came to office in the city, that city attorney basically had said that we don't have to allow public comment, but we always have. I think we've expanded it throughout the years, but there was a time when I came on board when it was very limited. So, and they never spoke at a work session. Never. That was never permitted. We were the first ones to start allowing that. So I think we've been pretty fair, but I think if we somehow, David, Dullahan, and Adrian, let's just say we start off with 10 people, and I think it'll probably be okay, because I don't foresee after today's resolution, which ironically, I think I might have seen one email on that resolution, and that one resolution was, don't pass the resolution, pass the ordinance. And then these other ones were all for the ordinance, like, how dare you do this? Don't do this, so I think we might be okay just starting off with 10, and maybe down the road, if we can manage it, maybe 15, and I think that would be good, and maybe even 20. I don't know, but we'll take some small steps to begin with. But I think we can somehow advertise to the public that the first 10 people who respond to the city, we get their name, they have to fill out like an application, so we know who they are, and then we give them the credentials, and if they end up doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, at least we know who did it.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Gondara, I will circle back tomorrow with Interim City Manager Maestas and Christine and Adrian to work out the mechanism by which to allow a limited number of public in.
Thanks, David. Councilor Sorg, do you have a comment? Oh, Mayor Pro Tem, you're finished, correct?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I am for now.
Okay. Councilor Sorg and then Councilor Vasquez.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. From all the comments that I've gotten by email or by telephone calls, voice messages, and so on, the vast majority are what people that just don't understand wearing a mask, where you can and can't do it, and so forth. And with that, I think we ought to put a strong effort out as to where you use them masks and where you don't, because a lot of people think you use them in places you don't have to, and some people, as you see, they'll be wearing them as they're driving down the street. Once in a while, I see one of those. So PSAs are coming. I know of one that is done and it's ready to go. We just have to get the PIO to approve, or the city manager to approve it. And so I think that's very important. And I just want to make one comment about this whole masks thing in general.
Councilor Sork, excuse me, is your comment going to be on this resolution?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
about this resolution.
Okay.
If we had a president in this country that would wear a mask where he's supposed to wear a mask and would advocate for wearing a mask in this country, we wouldn't have near the amount of controversy with this. I strongly feel that. And so I just want to make that comment. And let's get the information, or the PSAs out and spread the word as to where a mask should be used and where it doesn't have to be used. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, and Councilor Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I think for the record, I still support this being enforceable in some way or another, but understand the resolution is probably, I guess in a symbolic way, the only option we have left to encourage the public to wear masks in commercial and retail places. I saw the numbers from the governor come in just now. I think we're up at 17, higher than Bernalillo County. I think Bernalillo County today is 11, and they have a population 6 or 7 times our size. And so I just think in this time, I'm not sure it's the best decision to just go with a resolution in terms of protecting the health of people in these establishments. But regardless, the education that the city will put out and hopefully continue dialogue with our community encourages people to be good neighbors and be responsible for the health of other people. And so that's all I wanted to say on that today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I totally agree with Councilor Vasquez. On Friday, I was prepared to vote yes on it. And just in the course of discussion and all the information received from Dr. Landon really went to, to having such an ordinance. But in the questions that, the discussion that came up insofar as enforcement, just, when push came to shove, it was hard for me to, in all my, my sense of, just a sense of what's fair and what's not, to criminalize not wearing a mask. Yes, it's true. It's horrible that someone would go and cough on somebody and maybe infect that person, and that person would die and infect, exponentially a bunch of other people. And yes, I agree with Councilor Vasquez. It's a delicate balance, and it's, but I just can't see criminalizing that behavior. I just can't. And, to get, someone says, well, it's just a petty, just a misdemeanor. Well, it's still a crime. And there are some jobs that people have that require a squeaky clean record in certain fields. I thought about maybe having an ordinance that was civil, and that did come up. But our attorney, Vega Brown, wasn't entirely sure that what kind of a civil ordinance there would be, what the consequences would be if you violated that civil ordinance. And then the big stickler always is enforcement. And I received an angry, a very, I could just hear this person yelling at me, who's a very dear friend and is a legislator up, north, who just, yelled, just in her text, just said, there's no point in having a resolution. You need an ordinance. You need, you need some teeth. You have to have a penalty there. So I'm definitely for this resolution, but I would like our legal staff, Mr. Dallahan, since you're the acting city manager at this point, to look into to have an ordinance. And part of it is, I think all of us are feeling, and excuse me, strike that. I was thinking that if we have an ordinance that penalizes this behavior that could be potentially criminal, actually. I mean, if someone coughs on you and that person knows that he or she is infected, I mean, that could be a criminal battery. I mean, it's far-fetched, but it could be a battery. So there is something on the books right now that people could use in that regard. But if we could have something along the lines of a civil, an ordinance, and have some sort of a consequence for not being in conformance with it, I think that would be the best way to go. But as far as this one, I'm 100% behind the resolution. And I just hope that people really understand how dangerous it is to be out there not knowing. You might be asymptomatic. You might be contagious or infectious. So I just hope that people take that to heart. If they, when you have freedoms, any kind of freedom comes with responsibility. So you want the freedom not to wear a mask, well then, you want the freedom to be out without a mask, well then, the responsibility is on you, but it's affecting another person's life or more. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Mayor, but I'm for this.
Councilor Abeyta-Stube.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to update. I know a lot of emails that we had gotten about this resolution called into question the World Health Organization and their use of masking. I'm trying to show it. I'm reading off the WHO website and their updates for non-medical fabric masks. And it says, however, for widespread transmission with limited capacity for implementation control measures, and especially in settings where physical distancing of at least 1 meter is not possible, such as on public transport, in shops, or in other confined or crowded environments, the WHO advises governments to encourage the general public to use non-medical fabric masks. So I just thought that was important for us to know. It does give more guidance on it. Once again, it does state that a mask is basically part of a comprehensive strategy of measures to suppress transmission and save lives. And so I think that's important. I would encourage people to look at that. It does, there's always concerns. Of course, social distancing, hand washing are the best, but masks are just one of the many tools that we have to help slow that transmission. And the risk, I would say, for not wearing them, if we aren't able to control the spread, if we continue to see cases, in our community, that balance of that physical, mental, and economic health might become imbalanced, and we'll have to take other measures. So I greatly encourage everyone to wear the mask when you can, where you can. I look forward to assisting in any way I can to help distribute masks and seeing that public education out. Especially, I would like to emphasize that I guess we need education on hygiene as well for masks, how to wear them, how to take them off, and their washing. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, do you have another question?
I do, Mayor. Not so much a question, just a comment. Thank you, Councilor Abeyta-Stube and others. I support the masks. I wear them to protect you from me. As I've said in the past, I have a daughter who works in the healthcare. She's a doctor. And so along with you, I know you received quite a few emails suggesting that it's very dangerous and your oxygen levels. And I think you all received the same email I did with pictures of a woman who, with a mask, wearing it for 10 minutes and checked her oxygen level and said it doesn't affect your oxygen level. And so, or that you are being tested for your ability to wear a mask, and that isn't why you're being tested to wear a N95. Basically, you're being tested, if you will, to make sure you have the proper seal, the proper one. And that is coming from Dr. Gandara. It's really difficult for me, not me, Dr. Gandara, my daughter, who is a doctor, full-fledged doctor. So it's really hard for me to not agree to this, and I'm very concerned about our numbers since Friday, Mayor. As you know, we've had huge numbers. I think Friday was 26. Been hovering 17, 16 the next few days, and Councilor Vasquez just said that we're in the 17s today. And quite frankly, for people to understand that in order for us to open up and move through phase 2, there will be a question on whether Doña Ana County can do that now because of what these numbers look like. And I hate to say it, but these numbers look like what people were doing for Memorial Day and graduation, frankly. And I'm asking and imploring people to be responsible. I've always been proud of this city and how we have responded together, and when we are faced with a problem, and that's together, protecting each other, helping each other out. And I just want to say how important I think that is moving forward. If we want economic stability, as we move forward, we have to grapple with this. And, you know, those 1,800 petition signatures, and where are they? Where are they consistently to work with us to ensure how we work together as we move forward in terms of opening this city up and protecting one another and our business community? That means we have to use the masks and social distance. And honestly, this does not give us permission. Opening up doesn't give us permission to just go out. It still means social distance, stay home. Mayor, this weekend and council, I met somebody who had 2 family members contract COVID, and it wasn't pretty. It was horrible to hear. I was so devastated for this individual person as they spoke of well, this is a person who knows of, who works with them, and their parent passed away, and the other one's struggling in the hospital, and still been on a respirator for over 30 days. So I'm saying this because I feel it's real, and maybe in our educational campaign, maybe we can implore people who have contracted it and have found the other side of this, and maybe those that have not, that maybe Adrian and our PIO can interview them. Maybe they not to sensationalize, but just to let people know this is real, this is happening, and we have to take care of one another. So with that, Mayor, I'm completely for this. I would agree. I don't want to criminalize this. I would like for our Jennifer Vega Brown and our legal department to look into what maybe those civil penalties might be as we move forward, because I just, you know, after Friday, it was a rough meeting, and then we got the numbers, and then we continue to get these high numbers. And it's sort of, it's like, you know, where are we at? What do we do as a community moving forward? Mayor, do you have any answers?
No, just continue to ask businesses to do their best to keep places clean, to use best practices that that the state has provided. And for those members of the public who do go out, please be respectful. Know that it's, as you mentioned earlier, it's to not only protect you, but also the other person. It's a sign of respect and a responsibility, really, when you get right down to it. So, I mean, that's the best we can ask for. Anything else, Mayor Pro Tem? Okay, Councilor Vasquez?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Sorry about that, Mayor. Left my hand up there. Thank you.
Okay, well, we're here at the resolution. So if there's no further discussion, Christine, you want to call for the vote, please?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 20-167. Councilor Abeyta-Stuvey?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Sorg?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gandara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor?
Sandra.
Yes, Councilor Sorg.
Will you allow any comments from the council?
No, I just asked for it before we went to the vote.
No, not on the amendment, or rather the resolution, but on comments in general.
Well, we don't have that on our agenda. This was just a special council meeting.
Okay, too bad. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm sorry. There was who made the motion to adjourn? You did, Mayor Pro Tem Gandara. Who seconded?
Second by Councilor Flores.
Okay, that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, we're adjourned. It's 4:44 p.m. And Christine, I'll just stay on, and then we'll do the agenda setting meeting.
Yes, Mayor.
Whenever you're ready, just let me know.
Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Ready? Okay. So this is the agenda setting meeting for our June 15th, 2020 City Council meeting. Number 1, non-consent.
1, non-consent.
2, consent.
2, consent.
3, consent.
3, consent.
4, consent.
4, consent.
5, consent.
5, consent.
6, non-consent.
6, non-consent.
7, non-consent.
7, non-consent.
8, non-consent.
8, non-consent.
9, non-consent.
9, non-consent.
10, consent.
10, consent.
11, consent.
11, consent.
12, consent.
12, consent. Thank you.